If you're thinking about making a move to the Sacramento area and you do not want an HOA, you do not want an HOA community, today we're going to go over one of the top communities in Sacramento that doesn't have an HOA. We all know that California has the most HOA communities in all the United States. Currently in Sacramento County, there's over 1,000 HOA communities and over 150,000 homes in them. This community isn't one of them and is a top community in the Sacramento area. Now, also stay to the end of the video as I unveil one of my favorite parks in the area that you definitely need to know about if you're making the move to Sacramento. People do not like HOAs. A lot of people I'm getting calls for are like, man, I know you live in Gold River, Mark, and you got HOAs there, but I want it all. I don't want HOAs because I hear they're restrictive. California, I get it. So as far as HOAs go, I've been looking for communities, and this is a community that's always stuck in my mind. Moved a couple friends into the community a couple years ago. Beautiful houses, community vibe, people doing the walks for walking dogs, kids playing in the park, bicycle riding, shutting down for 4th of July. I mean, it has really everything that I like. In fact, the holidays, we go to their house to celebrate a little bit and we do the walk around the neighborhood, and there's so many houses, lights all over the place. Really, really nice. And they're high-end homes. It's a nice area. What do you think specifically about HOAs?
Well, I mean, who really likes HOAs at the end of the day? I mean, you're basically, you're paying, and oftentimes, especially in Gold River, you're paying to kind of like have somebody micromanage what you're allowed to do with your property and all that stuff. I get the purpose of, keeping everything looking nice, but at the end of the day, it can be somewhat of a hassle depending on the HOA. And then also some of them are really expensive, and especially with how much everything costs these days. I mean, if you got to tack on an extra $400, $500, $600 on top of it just for an HOA, that's not ideal in many cases. So it's really tough to find a kind of a neighborhood that almost like you would think they have an HOA based off of how it looks and just how well kept it is and all that, but they don't. I think there's only a couple in the Sacramento area, so this is kind of a little hidden gem.
Guys, also, if you guys are enjoying this video and you do not like HOAs, smash that like button. Okay, so the area in the community we're going to talk about today is called Phoenix Field in Fair Oaks, California. Now here's a drive from Sacramento downtown, 28 minutes. There's a lot of freeway traffic happening, or freeway building and construction going on the 50. So this is kind of what it looks like. It's 28 minutes for Bay Area. That's nothing. But for the most part, this is it. And this is during kind of a rush hour time as well too. Now, as you can see on this map right here, it's kind of close to Folsom Lake as well too. Greenery all around it. Here is where you're going to be doing the majority of your shopping in Folsom. Folsom is a whopping 15 minutes away. And in between like Phoenix Park and Folsom, there are other shops like Rayleigh's and all that stuff too. So it doesn't mean like you have to drive the full 15 minutes. We do have shopping close by. But as far as your main hub for like restaurants, dining, movie theaters, you're talking about 15 whole minutes away. Aaron, what do you think about the Fair Oaks area specifically in Sacramento?
I like it. There's a lot of pluses. For one, in my opinion, I like more mature neighborhoods that have trees and developed shopping centers and just kind of like a foundation, if you will, that you don't really find like if you go into a new home community and they haven't even started with trees yet. So you definitely find that in Fair Oaks. And there's a lot of like little unique neighborhoods, like the one that we're talking about today. You're really close to a lot of outdoor activities, the river, hiking, all that kind of stuff. So from a location standpoint, it's pretty sweet, especially if you're somebody that works off of the Highway 50 corridor versus the Highway 80 corridor. It's much more convenient, hopping off of Hazel and, there's a whole lot of stuff. I'm sure we're going to dive into it, but I think that there's a lot of really great things about it. It's a family community, a lot of great schools, activities for the kids, all that stuff.
Well, that's another thing too. A lot of people are looking for they see in Sacramento when you're getting into the higher price points or the bigger houses, that a lot of them are in the HOA communities like the Gold Rivers, the Folsoms and everything too. And there are these communities that are scattered throughout Sacramento that you don't have HOAs. There's no Mellow-Roos. They're nice. They give you everything you want. They give you big, huge backyards. I mean, the friend of mine that I moved into the house, they have like a humongous backyard. They could actually build 2 additional houses if they wanted back there. Absolutely enormous. They're
Hmm.
building like outdoor kitchen, basketball courts, and everything too. And it's really, really nice. You know, like it's far enough away from the freeway where you're not hearing a lot of stuff, but in between, like if you look at this map right here, it's like right near the water, green belt. I mean, it's a beautiful area. So for me, like a lot of these areas you won't even kind of know about. And the Phoenix Park area is for me a community, an area where like I think you can get in there for maybe in the 600s if you wanted to get something bigger, like with land on it. Probably looking into eights. I mean, it's a really, really
Hmm.
nice spot. Neighbors are great, bicycle riding and everything too. And I think a lot of people when they're moving in from the Bay, a lot of people when they're moving into Sacramento in general, the HOA vibe, they're not feeling it. People don't like HOAs. And so, you know, you also want to have a community that's kind of protected as well too, tucked away. So what HOAs do, the pros of HOAs, you still kind of have that as well too. And I think this area, I've always driven through it. It's always nice. Houses maintained, great curb appeal for a lot of them.
Hmm.
They can go anywhere from like I think it's like you know like 1,800 square feet all the way to like 3,000 plus. Pools, resort style living, and everything too. So it's really, really nice. And it's right here, guys. This is where Sacramento is, and this is where Fair Oaks in general is, right? Like Aaron said, you're shooting up the 50, and then basically you can
Hmm.
access it right there, which is really, really nice. You can do side streets to the 80 as well too. And here it is right here. Like we're on Smud, guys. Another thing I just want to bring to light.
Yep.
If you are in Placer County, if you're in Roseville, you're Roseville Electric. But Placer, for the most part, El Dorado County, you're on PG&E for electric. So you got those brownouts. Smud is a Sacramento Municipal Utility
Hmm.
Districts where you have half the price of PG&E. And Aaron, when was the last time you had a blackout?
It certainly doesn't happen like they have you know, in PG&E country they literally have planned, you know, they call them brownouts when they're just planning on shutting down your power just in case it gets too windy or whatever. So we don't really have any of that going on in SMUD country. So
No.
I definitely you know, appreciate having that over the alternative.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, when someone's moving into the Sacramento area, a lot of people like those resort style houses, big houses, right? So when you go big
Hmm.
houses, you're going to be paying more for electricity and everything too.
Yep.
And it's very important to factor that into your decision because a lot of times people from the Bay Area are coming in from like 1,000 square foot condo to like a 3,000 square foot house. And unless they really, really are like using no electricity, their bill is going to be higher. With SMUD, I've actually had people who've moved here, got a house that was bigger, and they're paying less than they were in the Bay Area.
Here's an easy comparative is like if you were considering solar and if it like made sense to invest in solar, if you were in PG&E country, it's like a no-brainer. You're like, oh, that makes total sense. I make my money back in just a few short years. If you're in SMUD country, you're paying like the long game. You're like, well, if I have the system for 15 years, and yeah, it really is significantly less over here.
Here's the thing too. Here's the thing. Here is Phoenix Fields right now. You got a Safeway, you got a Rayleigh's, buy close by. So like you do have your shopping. You're right,
Hmm.
kind of accessing it through Hazel, but it's like right by the water. And here's the thing: the video I did on Currow Downs, there is an HOA there. I think it's like $82, but here there's no HOAs, no, nothing even restricting. So like, and also what I've seen here, as far as what I've seen driving through is all the houses, the community blends really nice. There's not that kind of outlier in the community. They're all very much pride of ownership, and I love
Hmm.
that. So this area is a gem. Like I said, close to the water, close to the greenery, no HOAs. It's just really, really nice. And like I said, it's only a little bit. And like you got Chipotle right there, you got Madison over there too. So the shopping's, like I said, the majority of shopping will happen in like maybe Folsom if you're going to eat at Mas Tacos, if you're going to Nordstrom Rack. But guys, there's a lot of places to eat. There's like Round Table Pizzas, Rayleigh's super close by too, Chipotle and everything too, Safeways, Rayleigh's. So you're not completely isolated, but you do kind of have that vibe where you're tucked away in this kind of like little Stepford community, which I think is so nice. Okay, let's
Hmm.
jump into the schools. San Juan Unified. What do you like of that school district?
You know, it's a well-funded, established school district for the most part. You know, you got a lot of good options over there. You also have I believe the Waldorf school is right over there as well if you're looking for private options. But there's some well-ranking schools. You got to obviously got to check out greatschools.org and do your research. But there's a lot of good ones over there.
And they're all accessible too. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a
Hmm.
quick ride. Rio's a little further away, but for the most part, you're going to have
Yeah,
an elementary probably within like 5 or 10 minutes away from your home, even closer than that. So I really do like the idea that they have elementary schools situated kind of near Phoenix Field. So it's not that far of a drive, which I like. I have friends, like I said, some of my good friends live in the Phoenix Field area. And so they really like the elementary schools in the area and the community vibe. I'm honestly, they said they bought their house, they're investing money into it, and that's where they're going to be for the end of time. So they like the
nice.
area kind of that much. And when you have people that 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 you moved in there, especially friends and everything too, that they're saying thank you so much for moving us into this area, it does go a long way. So I do like that area specifically. Schools are good. And this is kind of like, now we're going to go into a little bit of the houses that have been closed within since May. So this is kind of what you're looking at, 930. Now this was redone, dialed in, pool, the whole 9 yards. Now this is probably the highest price point house that was sold since May in that area. So 930. Then you have other
Hmm.
homes like a 4 and 2, 2,300 square feet, 675. Super cute single stories. You got the tile roof, 3-car garage. I mean, but for this price point, Aaron, what do you think?
Oh no, I think that's a steal for that price point. I mean, if you're, because you're looking for an established neighborhood, you're looking for good schools, good location, distance of things, all that stuff. If you were comparing it to what it would cost to be in like Folsom or Rockland or something like that, I mean, it's you get a lot more square footage. And I didn't catch the lot sizes on those, but I forgot to say when you asked me earlier, like what are one of my favorite things about the area. The other thing is the size of the lots.
Oh yeah.
Most of the homes were built in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And, back then we had more land available and the lots are bigger. So you get a lot more bang for your buck, in my opinion. I think that's a great deal.
Well, I think also the separation between the houses is a little bit more here. Like I said, one of the things
Totally.
with the new homes is that there's a little bit more density with some of the new homes being built. These are like the traditional community where you got maybe like, 10 feet of a side yard, well, between 5 and 10 feet of a side yard. And then with the new homes, you're looking at maybe 3 to 5. So these have nice
Hmm.
separation, but everyone kind of knows each other in the community as well too. I mean, like I said, this one is right here the most expensive one that closed, but like for something for 675, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, no HOAs, no Mellorews, and they're beautiful houses. Like this is everything that's sold, and we're just going through it, and for the most part, like they're well taken care of. They're well maintained and everything
Hmm.
too. So when you move into an area, one of the biggest things you want to worry about if you don't have HOAs is that, you're moving to an area where you might run into a neighbor with like 5 cars on the lawn. You might find that neighbor that decides to paint their house pink just for kicks. Like this is an area where I've driven through it
Hmm.
myself many a time. Pride of home ownership. People are sitting in the front yard on Fridays, hanging out, getting together. People just love, love, love this pocket area. And so this is the type of area that I would say, considering if you don't like HOAs, you're moving to Sacramento, this is an area that you can definitely find what you're looking for, like underneath what you'd be expecting to pay, I guess you could say. Like this, like I said, like again, 675, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, you know, bordering on 2,400 square feet, nice size backyard. This one I looked at, and I think it has a nice size backyard, enough for a pool easy. So that's kind of nice. And if you look at the
Nice.
price point too, there's not a whole lot selling in these communities as well too. What do you think of that, Aaron?
Well, and that's part of why those price points stay where they're at. If there was a lot more inventory, that would speak to the popularity of the neighborhoods. If you look in various resale markets throughout Sacramento, you're going to find some of them are less desirable than others, and Fair Oaks tends to be one of the more popular markets for a lot of the reasons that we've been talking about. You forgot to mention too, McCooney's is literally like right across the street. So if anybody's
Yeah.
a sushi lover, like the best, sushi restaurant, they've got a location right there on Hazel. So that's another plus in my book.
Oh, 100%. But look at this one, though. Look at this one's that currently they have one active listing on the market. If you want to see it, call our team. But under $600,000, a 3 and 2, over 2,000 square feet.
Hmm.
And like I said, if you look at the price, I mean, you can't find that in majority of areas in Sacramento. I mean, like, that's a hard thing to find these days. So the idea that you can get something like this without HOAs, without Mellorews, in a nice cookie cutter, like a cookie cutter kind of like Stepford kind of community out there where you've got, you're
Hmm.
close to a major park, which we'll talk about a little later. You're near good schools, shopping, hospital, even Kaisers are close by as well too. Like this is a rare community to look into. So for me, I mean, I like it. I think this community is like one of those communities that if you don't know the area, you can't hone in on it because it just you're not gonna know about it.
Hmm.
And this is the type of stuff that I love focusing on, especially for our videos, because look at this. Look at that. Lake Natoma is right there. All that lush greenery. Now the park that I mentioned too is Phoenix Park. Look at this thing. Look at that. How cool is that? You got tennis courts, you got dog walking, you got greenery, goes all the way to the water. I mean, that's pretty awesome, don't you think?
Oh yeah, one of my good buddies, he moved over there maybe 5 6 years ago, and he's a diehard tennis player, and that was one of the main things that drew him to that area was that park. If you check out that park on the weekends, I mean, you especially bring your family or whatever, but I mean, it's crazy how many different things are taking place there. It's a happening spot. There's a lot of teams and leagues and all sorts of like soccer and all that stuff's going on over there. And I think there's a really nice dog park as well. So people that like doing that, I think there's a pretty well established park over there too.
Well, also all these trails that take you all the way around everything too. So I think
Hmm.
this is one of the parks. It's really nice. But the idea that you have something like this at your fingertips, that you can kind of walk over and just kind of, enjoy during like the time where you're, with your family during the weekend. You're like, let's go play baseball. You got a park right there. And this isn't just any other park, any ordinary park. Like this park is nicely protected. You don't really even know about it unless you kind of live in the area. It is just such a nice spot because, like I said, you can go walk across the street, go to the park. There's trails that go in and out. You can go over close to the water as well too. And during the summertime, get some nice breezes from the water. Now, here's the thing. We're going to zoom in on these houses, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Look at this. Streets are wide. The houses are
Hmm.
pretty, a lot of them are big houses. And like, you're not going to find a community like this in Sacramento that doesn't have HOAs. It's just crazy, like no HOAs. And all these houses, look at them. Guys, this is like current. I mean, you don't see any schlock, you know?
Hmm.
Um, you got houses with pools, houses that are set back. I mean, I just love when you run into these communities that you would never know about other than like our videos, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like the trees. I drive over there all the time. My wife's family, a couple of family members live there off of Sunset. And one of the other things too that's really cool about that area is that it's not hilly like El Dorado Hills, like where you're way up on a hill and you got views and
Yeah.
all that stuff, but it's hilly to where like street by street, it's not like very flat, and so it kind of it just makes everything seem a little bit more expansive in terms of like how everything's spaced out from each other. A lot of oak trees, all that stuff. It's an awesome area.
Well, I think also the idea that is since so many people are kind of their heart set is on Folsom or like Roseville or Rockland, all the spots where like they're getting a lot of attention because all the new homes are being built and all that stuff too. There's areas that like in Fair Oaks where you can kind of get something that's closer to downtown, established
Hmm.
neighborhoods, Fair Oaks, City of the Trees and everything too, that you shouldn't overlook. I mean, these are communities right now that have been around for a long time. You talk to people and go, I live in Phoenix Park. They're going to be like, wow. But it's a Sacramento know to Sacramento live kind of area. If you're from the Bay Area, you're not going to know about this area. You're going to say, oh, Fair Oaks, kind of like, oh, Old Town Fair Oaks, the downtown area,
Hmm.
but these pocket of communities is kind of, for me at least, one of the things that makes Sacramento kind of fun, right? You can discover these like kind of like niche little communities that like no one ever heard of. And for me, this
Hmm.
is a community that like if you don't like HOAs, like I mentioned, that if you're thinking to yourself, I want to move into Sacramento, if I'm going to go in and if I'm going to be paying high interest rates, I don't want to deal with like HOAs. I don't want to deal with Mellorews. Like I would talk to my realtor and say, show me Phoenix Field. And yes, maybe there's nothing for sale currently on the market now, but at the same time, like I want to know this area so that I can scope it out. And if it's right for me, I want you to kind of focus in and let me know if anything pops up. Send postcards to all the residents. There could be people looking to sell. My friends specifically were honing in on this spot. They loved the Phoenix Field area. They love Phoenix Park. And they're like, this is our spot. And so when they saw something pop
Mm-hmm.
up, I mean, they got like, I think it was a 2,700 square foot house, a lot that is like, I don't even know, maybe 20,000 square feet lot. It was huge. I mean, unbelievably huge. And they paid like 710 for it. And it was like 2 stories. They love it. It had a pool. I mean, you can't find the stuff in most areas of Sacramento, especially let alone Fair Oaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say if you are interested in this neighborhood, it's one of those neighborhoods where not a lot of inventory comes up, and when that house pops up that's like your dream home, it's likely that there's a whole bunch of other people that are like, hey, that's my dream home too. So you're gonna have competition. So it's one of those neighborhoods where you really got to be ready to pounce, where you're pre-approved, you're already working with your agent, all that stuff, and you guys are just on the lookout for the perfect property to pop up so that you can, basically scoop it up before somebody else does, because there's not a lot of homes in that area. That area is smaller than even the pocket area that you and I covered a couple of weeks ago. That's another really popular, low inventory market. So definitely got to be ready to take advantage when the opportunity presents itself.
No, 100%. And guys, if you're like me, like if your HOAs are getting to be a little bit of a bear, and if that's the last thing you want to deal with when moving to a new area, check out Phoenix Field. And if you guys are looking to get pre-approved and you want a lender
Mhm.
who basically not only can get you pre-approved, but also knows the area as well too, I would definitely say go to Aaron. He is amazing. He's worked with so many of our clients. They've been super happy with him. And if you're looking to move into the area, like I said, guys, our team focuses in on finding the person, not only the right house, but the right community and neighborhood. And we'd absolutely love to work with you. So reach out. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Now, if you do not like HOAs, smash that like button. Also, if you have any questions or comments, put them below. We answer all questions and comments. Now, I have another video for you right over there. It's another community that doesn't have HOAs. It is an awesome community. Guys, again, if you are thinking about making the move to Sacramento, this community with no HOAs, you definitely need to check out. This is Mark. Have a good one.